Erik, I wonder if there's any draft diamonds in this 2026 draft class.
If only we knew a guy. We actually do know a guy, Noah, and his name is Barry Shuck at Dogs by Nature. Welcome in, Barry. We're talking diamonds in the rough, and recently you got to speak to a few.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy Mardi Gras. It's along the Gulf Coast. It's Mardi Gras season now. I'm not Catholic, but in 2 days it'll be Lent, and then all the fast food restaurants will have fish sandwiches for sale.
Right.
Don't sleep on the fillet of fish. Let me just remind everybody out there. It's actually not that bad. It sounds gross because you think fish and McDonald's, but we're here to talk prospects, right? And Barry, you got to go to the Senior Bowl, interview some guys, talk to some guys. Why don't you give us some background of your trip over to the Senior Bowl, first of all, and then we could get into some of the names that you gave us in terms of prospects play people should be looking for that aren't, your typical top names like
Yeah,
Carnell Tate, Tyson, for example.
yeah. I don't think people understand the significance of the Senior Bowl. Number one, it's the most prestigious All Star game. And the reason for that is the quality of players that they invite. So if you're a stud wide receiver, you go the Senior Bowl, you're not playing against Alcorn State and their defensive backs. You're playing against guys that played at Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. They get all these guys together. So the quality of talent's number one. Number two, both squads are coached by NFL coaches. So you've got that professional coaching going on. But number three, except for the coaching staff in the Super Bowl, every head coach is at practices and is there during the week. Every general manager is there during the week. Every assistant coach, every personnel director, every scout, they are all here. And what this does is between practices and at nights, they've got these ballrooms sectioned off by curtains by teams, and they invite guys in. And when you're a you're a linebacker, you go into the Detroit Lions little area tent, whatever you want to call it. Here's the head coach. Here's the linebacker coach. Here's the GM. They sit down with guys for 45 minutes just to be able to know them and see them face to face. Another thing that happens at the Senior Bowl is if you are a head coach, you go to the Senior Bowl and you're missing three guys on your coaching staff. All of these coaches that there were 10 NFL teams that fired their head coach. That
Right.
means there's 10 rosters of coaches that are unemployed.
Right.
Now, they may be kept by their team, but it's few and far between because, Erik, if you're a head coach, Noah's your offensive coordinator, I'm your defensive coordinator, and Erik gets fired, we all get fired.
Right. Right. Right.
Now,
Right.
now Erik ends up the defensive coordinator for somebody. I end up the defensive back coach for somebody, and we go to the Senior Bowl in a generic tracksuit. We take notes on players, but we're there to interview. And a lot of coaches get hired at the Senior Bowl because they're there. You can
That's
Right.
have a sit
interesting.
down, yeah, sit down instead of a Zoom. So that's what the Senior Bowl is.
For the
That's
record,
awesome.
Barry, I knew that Noah's
Yeah.
poor offensive play calling would get
Oh,
me fired all along.
yeah. Yeah. You
Listen,
can't trust those offensive linemen to be good coaches.
hey,
That's
I will
true.
draw up the best blocking scheme you have ever seen in your entire life. Don't ask me a single thing about route combinations and route trees, though. That is not my forte. But damn it, we will run the ball.
Yeah.
Barry,
Word is, word is you were part of that Deshaun Watson trade, is what I hear.
Oh boy.
yeah, I don't like to claim anything other than the offensive line. We'll just leave it at that. Let's move into some of these prospects that you sent over to Erik and I prior to the show. I want to talk. Bud Clark is a guy I've mocked a couple times to the Browns now. He's a safety.
Yeah.
He has some of that slot ability. You got to talk to him. Give us the background. Give us the information on Bud Clark.
Yeah, well, for one, I knew a little bit about Bud Clark because he's been a 3-year starter. I've seen some TCU games over the past 2 years, just in passing or just in viewing. So I knew a little bit about him. He's 6'1", 185 pounds. He runs a 4.4840. I didn't realize how good this player was, though. I mean, and what they do at the Senior Bowl is they do one-on-one drills. So if it's offensive lineman versus defensive lineman, they snap the ball. Then you see what happens if the offensive lineman can keep the defensive lineman off. But with receivers and defensive backs, they'll line up a receiver with a safety or a cornerback, and they just do a play. There's no rush. There's no blocking. Quarterback, he doesn't improvise. He just takes the snap from the coach, throws the ball. So you see what's happening there. The linebackers do this with the tight end because that's what they're going to be matched up, or a running back in a game. But all the receivers are lined up with safety. Um, Bud Clark was all over everybody. Batted balls. I only saw one interception of him on the second day, but his ball production just jumps off the tape. He's got 11 career interceptions, so he already knows what he's doing as far as catching the ball, and he showcases a rare ability to bait his quarterbacks. He'll play off of them. Deion Sanders used to do that when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, then the San Francisco 49ers, and not so much with the Cowboys. He would bait quarterbacks. He would play off of them 5, 6, 7 yards, then had the closing speed. Bud Clark's got the closing speed. He's got exceptional route recognition. He's already drifting towards an area where he thinks the receiver's going to break. And let me tell you something, guys. I don't care what kind of head bob you have. I don't care what kind of shoulder dip you do, what kind of hip shake you do. He wasn't fooled in any of it.
It's awesome.
So it
Where do
sounds
you
like you would.
see him going in the draft?
Well, I did my research before I went to the Senior Bowl. He looked like a lower fourth round pick, but after the Senior Bowl, he looks like he could be top of the third. Now,
Okay.
understand this. Another thing the Senior Bowl does, for one, half the first round and half the second round played in the Senior Bowl. Justin Herbert, Dan Marino, Walter Payton, all of these guys, Baker Mayfield, all of these guys played in the Senior Bowl at one time. What happens here is you take like Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, when he came to the Senior Bowl back in the day, he was projected to be a low second round pick. He went to Delaware, Connecticut, one of those Eastern schools. He was picked in the teens or the early 20s by the Baltimore Ravens, who happened to be the coaching staff of the squad that he was
Right.
on. So he went up a round and a half. Von Miller was projected to be low first round. He went second overall by playing in
Right.
the Senior Bowl. Jackson Dart last year, I talked to him one on one, had a great interview. He was a late third round, early fourth round pick, taken in the first round by the Giants. So that's one of the main reasons why these guys come to the Senior Bowl, to play against exceptional talent on the other side of the ball, and to bump their draft status.
Yeah,
It's
I think
awesome.
sometimes people see TCU and it turns them off, but this is a guy that turned down LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. So he is a guy that I really like as well. I want to move on though, Barry, to one David Igmanosin. Let's stay in the backfield for a second, because as an Ohio State fan, I think we saw his flaws on display quite
Yes.
often. Honestly, he cleaned it up a little
Yeah.
bit in this past year until we got to the playoff stretch. But he seems like a guy that needs more scheme help than really playing that press man coverage. So, what was your take on Igbenogson?
Yeah, 6'2", 192. Really, really flat out speed, 4.34. He's very handsy. And understand this, they have referees the entire time anybody is doing anything on the field. They have referees. I think they're training some, But if you do one on one with a receiver and a defensive back, they'll call plays, they'll call penalties, holding, PI, whatever it happens to be. He is a blazer, though. He's got elite long speed, and he can close that cushion down in a hurry. He's got a pretty rangy build, and he's got plus length, good arms reach. He is able to time his jump to the catch point instead of jumping too early. He's got fluid hip flip and transition, and he can stay in phase when matching his receivers downfield. Now there are some issues with him. He's very grabby, and if he's beaten off the line, he's already latching on to a jersey, usually on his inside hand, which could, the receiver's body will kind of mask
Right.
that or disguise that. Occasionally, he'll lose leverage on double moves. Um, he was a sucker for double moves. You
Yeah.
can do one route and go one way and then shift and go the other way, and you can lose him there. He does seem to kind of rely too heavily on his recovery speed, which means he knows he's going to get beat and get beat quite a bit. I'd say he's about round four, but he's flat out fly.
Yeah, I think he does rely on that recovery speed a little too much, just from the eye test as an Ohio State fan. And as you said, he had plenty of penalties while at Ohio State, being handsy. Makes me nervous as a Browns fan. I would like to see press man coverage, but I guess we don't know what's going to happen. Like if I said Schwartz was still here, I would say maybe Igbenogsen's not the guy, but who
Yeah.
knows the kind of scheme we're going to get
Right.
next year.
Yeah, and I yeah, I'd say that he shows more comfort in zone rather than man coverage. And of course, Jim Schwartz required his cornerbacks to play man coverage.
Right, right, right. That's the biggest thing. I do think that we will stay and stick towards I think the split was almost like 70-30 or something like that into the man coverage, just because their focus is to keep Jim Schwartz's system still at play here. I mean,
Yeah,
they've said that in so many different interviews at this point. So
yeah.
it is an interesting one, but I do like the idea of going and getting a fast guy like Igbinosun just in that fourth round area, just because that's a spot where you can grab someone and hopefully they develop in the ways that you want them to, as opposed to hoping they're a day one starter.
Well,
Let's
David Njoku came to the Browns not knowing how to block, and when he left, he was a very good blocker. So things
true.
can change.
True, 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 true. Let's keep it on defense one more time. Let's go to Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker.
Yeah, I love this guy. I have four daughters. Three of them are married. I would choose him for my son-in-law in 5 seconds. He can date any of my daughters. Um, 6'1", 233, runs a 4.7. This guy is a tackling machine. He's from Texas Tech. Absolutely tackling machine. He's got a superpower. His superpower is punching the ball out. He did it each Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those practices are all in pads. Friday is helmet and shorts walk through. Monday is measurement day. He doesn't come from underneath. He comes from above, and he can time it, and he kind of swoops and cranes around. 9 forced fumbles this past year. 9
It's a
all
lot.
season. He is an amazing, amazing tackler. He shows legitimate sideline to sideline pursuit. He is a three down backer. He doesn't give up when the ball goes away from him. He's got the range to track down outside runs, and he's really good in coverage. He would be on a line, but I don't think they did receivers with the linebackers, but they did tight end. He's Other tight ends would have 3, 4, 5 inches on him. He knows how to be physical with a linebacker, so that the tight end is more concerned about what's going on around him than where the ball is. Violent hands at the point of attack. Violent hands. He was a quarterback in high school, so he already knows coverages. He already understands routes. Um, very, very good blitzer. He's got natural timing and bend, and he pretty much when he sees that it's a run, he makes his mind up right away. He finds which gap he wants to go through, and he zips.
Draft position wise, though, he's lot thought of more what day one, day two, though. He's a little bit higher up, or where do you have him at, Barry?
Coming into the Senior Bowl, he started as a mid fourth round.
Okay.
I'm thinking that he is definitely going to be at the top of the third round. He might inch his way into somewhere in the middle of the second round on down. He's definitely not going to be in the first round. I tell you what, he had 128 tackles this past year. He had 127 tackles the season before. He is just all over the place, nonstop motor. You put him on the field. I mean, Devin Bush is a and Mohamed Diabete. They're both free agents. We might sign them before the period's over. You put Rodriguez on the field with Schlesinger and just watch the fireworks show.
I gotta say, one of the things that I've missed out on under Schwartz's defense is the lack of blitz often. And with a kid like
Yep.
this, that opens up a whole new avenue for us.
Yeah,
110%.
yeah. Well, Schwartz relied on his front four to be the entire pass rush. And if they can do that, which they have since he was back with Philadelphia, Tennessee Titans, then it frees up the linebackers to stop the run, cover backs on passes, and cover tight ends. That's why he rarely blitzes.
That's fair. I want to move on to the offensive side of the ball and one Keelan Rutledge. This is a guard. Obviously, that's like scorched earth for the Browns, right? Like we need to add as many as we can on this O line. So,
Yep.
what did you see from him, particularly in his pass protections? What I'm interested in, does he have that anchoring ability in the next level, or is what do you think as far as Keelan Rutledge goes?
Yeah, I was really impressed with 2 guards. One is Jennings Ducker from Ohio. He's played some tackle. I expect him to go in the second round. I'd love for the Browns to take him with their first pick in the second round. In round 3, Keelan Rutledge, I'd take him too. He's from Georgia Tech, 6'3", 318 pounds. Um, this guy is a beast. This guy is an absolute bully. He doesn't like anybody. He didn't like me when I was interviewing him. He didn't like the next guy that was interviewing him. He's just an absolute bully. And he knows that. And he'll tell you that. He said, every play, what I'm wanting to do is to destroy my guy. Every single play. He possesses a solid frame. He's got exceptional arm length that allows him to get his hands on his defenders before they can establish an inside positioning. Um, he's violent. His hands are violent. His forearms are violent, and he wants to play that way. He demonstrates impressive anchor strength, and he's not going to get bull rush in the one-on-ones with defensive linemen. And understand, the Senior Bowl, the defensive line was superior. Tackles, edge rushers. He only got beat once, and he stumbled on that one.
Is this
Where,
a day two guy? I think that's what you're gonna ask, Noah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to say he is bumped up around going from 4 to 3.
that's awesome. He sounds like the type of offensive lineman you would love to watch, especially as a guy who, watches all 22 sometimes just to break down and enjoy quality offensive line play. Now, I know we didn't get a lot of that with the Browns last year, but
Yeah.
when it was on the tape, it's always fun to see.
A lot of people think if you don't get somebody in the first round, you can't get anybody. What round was Wyatt Teller?
He was a sixth round pick, I believe.
What has he got? 3 Pro Bowls,
Amen.
two All Pros, and I'm hoping that Andrew Berry will re-sign him before the free agency period starts March 9th. March 9th through 11th is the tampering period, and the 12th you can start signing contracts. Um, but Joel Bitonio, I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to retire. I did an interview with him in the off season last year, and he said, I came this close to hanging it up. He said, but I talked to my wife. He said, and I just wanted to play. I just wanted to continue to play. Well, you go 3-14, then you go 5-12. What are you playing for? He's got
Right.
plenty of money. It's
Right.
not like that. His kids are little. Um, I mean, what is I don't know. I think he's just going to retire. I hate it that he will. He's got 7 Pro Bowls, but I think the time and Zach Zenner, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's not anybody's starter. He only played against the Bengals in the last game of the season, and that's just because somebody got hurt. I think it was
I
Baton.
know. His
Yeah,
uh his tape is interesting too because you see it a little bit, but then at the
yeah,
same time he just loses footing and he'll end up falling off. It's a weird case with him, and I think he didn't fit what we went back to this season in terms of our run game, and he fit the
right.
the offensive line coach that we had the year before when we tried to tailor the offense around Deshaun Watson. I want to
Yeah.
move from a position of need, of course, on offensive line to another one. Let's talk about Malachi Fields, a wide receiver.
Oh my gosh, this is an incredible guy. And I'd say he went from 5th round to 3rd round. He is a solid 3rd round. If he was picked in the bottom of the 2nd round, I wouldn't blink an eye. For one, he's 6'4". Then he's
Awesome size.
218 pounds. He runs a 4.5. I knew very little about him till he got to the Senior Bowl. When I saw him that first day, I had to go look at his bio to see who he was. Went to Notre Dame. He's a former basketball player, so he knows how to box out. He knows how to reach the catch point, which he did over and over. He's got an extremely good vertical jump. I think it's 39 inches, um, 6'4", so he can get up there. His contested catch ability was phenomenal. He's very physical when he goes up. He can do almost every route. He's got some juke moves with his head, with his shoulders. He's not a great juker, I'd say, on his routes, but he's got reliable hands that work outside his frame, and he's got grip strength on the ball. A lot of players can't if they can't get both of them hands on that. I'd say he's a mismatch on the catch point for a cornerback, but a safety may be able to go head to head with him. He's got an excellent field for zone coverage, and I would say that his better marks are when he's in man-to-man coverage. Now, his weakness, um, his speed is above average, but he gets off the line a little slower than I anticipated against press coverage. If they were in zone, he was okay. His release package lacks the quickness and variety needed to consistently beat hands on corners at the snap. Um, but he's a phenomenal receiver, big guy. I think this is a guy that in the red zone you can trust him, especially on back shoulders passes.
Be awesome to get a guy that can actually hold on to the ball more often than not, have that ability out there because I think I speak for all Browns fans that drops are the most frustrating part about our current wide receiver core, whether it's the top, bottom, or in between of any of the names that are in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah. Jerry Judy tied for the league in drops with 10.
Yes, it was a rough 2025. We can leave it at that for sure.
That's for sure. Let's stay with that offensive production and talk tight end
Yeah,
Tanner
I like.
Koziol.
Okay.
Tanner Koziol, he
Yeah.
is that tight end. Yes, I do know my Polish names for you guys out there judging my pronunciations, but he is that Houston guy by way of Wisconsin and Ball State. Barry, what's your take on Koziol?
So I went to the Senior Bowl, and what I do is I don't look at everybody. We don't need a running back, so I didn't look at running backs. I did kind of look at quarterbacks. Everybody keeps saying we're going to take a quarterback. I don't think we are. We got
Neither do
Deshaun
I.
Watson, we got Dylan Gabriel, and we got Shadur. That's our quarterback room. Yes, they'll bring in a fourth young guy just for training camp, but when it's all said and done, there's our three quarterback. There's no reason to get somebody in the third round, the fourth round, and put them on our. For one, you'd have to get rid of one of these three guys. For another, he's not going to play. And for a third, he's not going to help this team this year. So why not get a defensive tackle or a safety or something with that third or fourth pick that can play some this year? So, but tight end, I didn't know that Joku was going to retire like that, but Blake Whitehart and Brendan, what's his name? They're both free agents. So that kind of leaves us with Harold Fanning, which is great. I love Harold Fanning. I interviewed him last year at the Senior Bowl. Um, but I started looking at tight ends there. And on the first day, I kept seeing this really tall guy, and he kept making all these catches, and nobody could cover him. There wasn't a safety that could get up to the catch point. And so I'm looking at my roster right here, and his name is Tanner Kozeral. He's 6'7", and he's a big guy, 245 pounds. He's not going to be the first guy at the buffet table. You can outrun him, but he was huge. So I go home the first day and I have to look at it and say, okay, who is this guy? Exceptional frame. I mean, you can't argue with 6'7", but he knows how to use. Of course, he's a basketball player in high school. In fact, he was a stud basketball player in high school, but he uses his body. He knows how to block out for rebounds. He creates immediately a red zone mismatch. When they started doing the 7-on-7s, they would march the team down the field as they were gaining yardage, you get down in the red zone and just throw it, and he's got it. There was nobody that could out jump him down there. Great hands, proven hands catcher. Um, in my notes, I found out that he secured 94 receptions in 2024 despite heavy target volume. Um, he can catch the ball and clutch. Now, he came to the Senior Bowl as a day 3 guy. I think he's going to go round 5 because of what he showed there. He's got solid run blocking fundamentals. He's got good inside hand placement, and he's got sufficient knee bend to neutralize rushers when he's blocking one on one off the edge.
See, this is exactly the range that I would love for us to add a tight end at as well. When it's in this fifth or sixth round, we're adding a guy to be behind Harold Fannin. Maybe we sign someone like an Isaiah Likely or something like that in agency as well, and that's your tight end room. But a round 5 guy with the upside that
Yep.
you're telling us excites me. I don't know about you, Eric, but
Yeah, I have a different tight end in mind for the Browns. I reached a little higher for that tight end. You could see that in our draft video. But no, I think that it's an absolute need to draft somewhere. And I like Tanner from size alone, exactly what Barry's saying here. I am curious, Barry,
Yeah.
of these 6 names that we talked about, if you had to pick one, who's your guy of those names?
Rodriguez. I can just see him and Schlesinger all day long making all these tackles.
I was gonna
128
say I was gonna say you were giving me goosebumps when you were talking about him, and I was thinking about him playing with Carson Schlesinger. It sounds like that could be a very fearsome duo for sure.
if they could sign Devin Bush had a great year last year. I
Yeah.
think his PFF grade is like 89.1,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's a free
crazy.
agent. I was shocked that the season ended without him getting an extension because he's had 2 one-year contracts in a row, and he just got better each year. And this year, he was one of him and Schlesinger was one of our main guys. I do a column after every game called Brownies and Frownies, and every week it's Schlesinger and Bush and Diabete. They're all 1, 2, and 3 as far as total tackles in every game. If you can get those 3 guys on the field, it's completely lights out. But I would pick 128 tackles last year, 127 the year before. You got to go production. Look at when Andrew Berry chose Schlesinger. He led the nation in solo tackles with 90, had 157 total tackles in his senior year. and Barry's drafted him. So, this guy's had almost 300 tackles in two seasons. Pair him, put him on the field, just watch him go.
Can't wait. Hopefully, we do something at linebacker as well, because as much as Browns fans don't want us to do anything other than offense, I do think that filling, that slot corner role, adding some secondary help and linebacker as well is going to be important for the longevity on the defensive side of the ball. So I like what you are cooking up with Rodriguez. Barry, you are the king of the football idiom. So why don't we end this show with you giving your football idiom,
Okay.
and then we'll wrap it from there, man.
An idiom is not exactly what it seems. It's got another implication of what the meaning is, and I'm gonna tell you why we call it a down. You
Okay.
don't even think about it. We got 4 downs, we got 3 downs. Why is it called a down? Why is the word down used? We don't even think about it being called a down. The origins of American football came from rugby, and rugby came from soccer. So we have a lot of things that we do in American football: punts, kickoffs, goal, tackles, interceptions. All of those are soccer terms. When rugby came from soccer, they used some of the same terms. When American football came from rugby, we used some of the same term. The H style goal that we all grew up with, rugby invented that. Well, it came from a soccer goal. Where down came from, the origins of the game is that Walter Camp took away the, like hockey and basketball, as long as you got the puck, as long as you got the ball, you're on offense, right?
Right.
Yeah. So he took that away and gave them a system of down. The origins of the game was he gave one team 15 downs to start from the 10-yard line and try to go the length of the field. Well, what happened was nobody could go up and down the field and it was boring. So he came up with a system of downs. 3 downs to make 5 yards. That happened for a long time in the 1890s and the turn of the century. In rugby, when you score a goal with the ball, it's called a try. And it's not a try until you touch the ball down on the ground. Walter Camp used that. So after he changed it from 3 plays to make 5 yards, he required after every play that the player with the ball to put the ball down immediately after each play.
That's the kind of insight that we only get from Barry Shuck from Dogs by Nature. Barry, thanks for being on the show. Make sure that you guys are going and following Dogs by Nature and following Barry. We appreciate having you on. And while you're here, make sure you give us a follow, like, and subscribe as well. Noah, we have a lot of fun shows this week. We're talking draft. We're talking what we would do in free agency. I'm sure we're going to be disagreeing on something.
We have nothing to like in those videos whatsoever, so I can't wait to chop it up and break it down with you. Shout out to Barry again for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to bring in a guest and talk a little ball with someone who isn't named Erik over there on the right side of the screen.
Yeah, and every time we have Barry on, I learn something new, which I absolutely love. On that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.